Yeah, baby. Yeah. The Mac is back. Back with another video. Hello, the initiated. My name is Marcus Junikala, and today is another big one because we're having a look at the Pro R2 by none other than Fabfilter. So what is the R2? Well, it's a reverb, and I'm, as I'm sure many of you are as well, a reverb nut addict. I'm always interested in finding the next reverb, the next thing that does this or that aspect better. Always, chasing the horizon when it comes to this kind of stuff. So super excited when I saw this. I pretty much immediately sent Fabfilter a message of wanting to check this out because I've been a Fabfilter user for a long time. Actually, when I started studying at university, I think the Fabfilter mixing bundle was the very first third-party mixing, toolkit that I got. So even back then, heard tremendous things about it, and indeed it has been tremendous. I'm still using that. Obviously, many of the tools inside, like ProQ, has gone through 2 different versions. Saturn is on its second iteration, etc. But yeah, in short, being a huge fan of what they've been doing for a long time. Even in today's environment where we have a lot more competition that gets closer to what Fabfilter is doing, even today they still manage to push the envelope and stay at the top. So that's very, very cool. Fun little fact, I actually never owned a R1, or just R as it was back then. Many times I was very close to pulling the trigger, and the only reason I didn't is because I was trying to be a sensible adult, meaning that I try and buy things only when I have something to use it on right now, and it just happened to be the case that there wasn't anything specific that I could justify getting the R1. And really the reason is that I don't have money, so that's why I didn't get it. But the point is, I've heard nothing but tremendous things about R1. Obviously, I've checked out many demos, so I can, make that conclusion myself as well. But especially in the composer space, many composers have praised this as a workhorse reverb. Not only sounding very natural and great, but also that you can run multiple instances of it in a bigger session as well, which is obviously a tremendous combination to have. And also in the kind of more electronic space, a lot of people have used it because it's so what I've heard, natural sounding and so flexible and customizable. So yeah, I mean the legacy of this is already very, very positive. So super excited to check this one out. As I mentioned, I did send Fabfilter a message regarding this. So in terms of touching on the transparency, yes, Fabfilter did send me this copy to check out. That being said, all opinions are my own, both in good and bad. I haven't been asked to say anything one way or the other, nor would I ever do that. And I'm not being paid to film this video otherwise. I guess that covers probably the basics here. In terms of what they say about it, Fabfilter is kind of not so flashy with their their websites and advertisements and those kind of things, which I'm personally a fan of, just focusing on the business, on the actual rubber meets the road side of things. Yeah, not super flashy, just kind of factual, etc. I think the best marketing efforts, or the flashiest thing they do, is what Dan Worrell, I believe, does for their videos. But even that is very classy and just minimal and factual. So but yeah, if you go to the website, it's not going to be like selling you this in a very from a particular angle, which kind of speaks to what it does, which is that it can do a lot. But basically, a natural sounding reverb is the focus that they talk about here. The tweakability, customizability, the usability. A big part of what Fabfilter do is making these fantastic interfaces. They talk about tuning the knobs of the plugins, which might sound odd because it's a digital representation and you're using a mouse, but they are, even so, obviously there's differences between how the thing is going to react to scrolling and moving. They are very well tuned and done from that perspective. So they are a pleasure to use. Interfaces are fantastic, etc. And I actually have found that they are pretty lightweight overall. Like in terms of, I don't remember using them in a session and being like, oh, this is crapping out my computer. So not my area of expertise, so I can't really talk about the efficiency. But from a practical standpoint, haven't been like seeing that my computer craps out when I use a bunch of Fabfilter stuff. So that's also a great plus. But yes, natural sounding reverb. Then they've added, I believe the R1 didn't have these new different modes. So if I take myself to the reverb, yeah, we have a drop-down selection with modern, which apparently is this kind of the most natural sounding reverb. Then you have vintage, which I believe kind of models the 80s type of reverbs, and then plate does plate sounding reverbs, which that's a good selection of things. Plates work for so many different sounds. So, I mean, even though you only have, I say only, but 3 modes, this covers a lot of ground. And, also should be importantly mentioned that this is something you can, start with from a default position and tweak the sound and shape it to be exactly what you're after. So even though this doesn't list certain modes, it doesn't mean you can't do something that sounds like it with this engine or this customizability that it offers you. So that's worthwhile remembering. In terms of this demo, you'll only be hearing the source sounds and Pro R2 in action. No other added reverb. Whenever there is reverb in the instrument, I try and take it away, or as much of it as possible. Some of them have multiple miking positions, which means there's an innate sound in the recording of a space there as well. But as far as we can go, I turn off the contact reverbs, etc. As much as I can. So you'll only be hearing this in action, and we'll obviously A/B stuff, so you'll hear what it's doing. I only have a limiter on the master bus to make the level decent for this video, so that there isn't a ton of fluctuation in the level. If you hear clipping, it's probably the limiter. I'll let you know either way if it's not, but yeah, it is that. So if you see me riding the mouse here and adjusting things, which you can't see on Pro R, I'm probably adjusting the limiter to make the level good. In terms of the agenda for this video, what we're going to do is we have a bunch of different sources. We have strings, brass, so orchestral stuff. We have some cinematic soundscape stuff. We have big spacey pads. We have some synth arps. I have a couple of guitars here, sort of acoustic drums or organic realistic drums and electronic drums. And then we have other stuff in there, but I can't remember all of it. But everything will be obviously time-stamped, so you can scroll around to check out what you want to do. But for me, this is me getting to know the reverb, play around with it, see how it works for me and where its strengths are, etc., and how I want to be using it in the future. And that's why we have quite a wide scope of things here to test with. I will be probably doing a combination of starting from scratch as well as going for presets. If I find a preset that I think will serve as a decent place to start, I'll probably look for those first, and then if I can't find anything, then we'll go from scratch. But that's really the agenda here. I think we could go over the interface here real quick. Quickly starting on this frequency analyzer area here. If I press something in terms of playing an instrument, and I need to obviously turn on the reverb, you see a frequency response, a frequency analyzer here, which is really good. And also you see this kind of decaying part here, which represents the reverb, its duration and how it fades out as well. So super useful to have this to not only see, because you can in the analyzer choose pre plus post and reverb plus post, see what is coming in and what is going out. Super useful to have built in here. And Fabfilter analyzers are great in Pro Q3. It's fantastic, so great to have it here. In terms of these curves, both are not EQ. So the one on the top, actually, I might balls up my terminology here, but this controls the decay rate in these specific frequency areas. So for example, this node is set to 2200 Hertz, which means since it's below this baseline, it is decreasing the decay rate in this frequency area. And obviously here we have a few controls. You can control the type of, I guess the term, no, it's not Q, but the type of the shape of the curve here. And Q control, you can, mouse wheel over this node to control the sharpness of the Q here. And obviously then you can move things around to either increase the decay rate or decrease it. Is there anything else I want to touch on that? Nope. But yeah, this is something that I think some people will struggle to hear. Probably not hear, but in terms of understand how to integrate this into your mixing flow. But yeah, I mean, at its simplest, if you want the high frequencies or the mids or the lows to decay faster or slower, you can adjust it here. Fantastic feature, usually not included in most reverbs in my estimation. So that really extends the potential and the scope of this tremendously. Very, very unique and cool. The yellow curve is an EQ. So again, this is a fantastic inclusion. Pro Q3 is one of the best EQs out there. One of the ones that I use the most. So this probably uses like a similar or maybe the same stuff in here. I think it's limited to 6 nodes, but in terms of EQing a reverb, that's more than plenty, I'd say. And you do absolutely want to be EQing your reverbs because a lot of the time you get excessive reverberation in the top end, like too much air, so you bring too much brightness in there. And perhaps the most commonly you want to EQ your low end out of the reverb to not muddy up your space, or muddy up your mix and eat up your space. And oftentimes, yes, in the mids also you can get these kind of resonances in your reverb that you want to tame. But fantastic that it's built in here, and in fact they've pretty much built in most of the things you need in terms of treating a reverb in this interface or in this one plugin, which is fantastic because then I don't need EQ, compressor, etc., modulation, And even compression, saturation, which I think is this this thickness control. But yeah, they've really clearly thought through a lot of things, and obviously they have a ton of experience. So obviously that's going to be the case. Now, going through the controls, let's go from left to right. Pre-delay, pretty self-explanatory. If not, then go watch a YouTube video on that. But basic control, you know, affects the perception of the space tremendously. Character, I believe this is a modulation control. And again here, I don't know if this is captured on video, because I don't know if the help tool is an element that the video software sees, or whether it's kind of seen as a separate window. But when you hover on these controls, there is a help window that pops up. So for example, on the character knob it says brings life to the reverb sound in various ways, introduces modulation, pronounced early echoes, and then late echoes as well. So yeah, modulation in short. Thickness adds intuitive combination of density and saturation to the reverb sound. And to my understanding, the density part of it is some form of maybe compression. I don't know what it is. But probably not if they use that word. But I don't know. Okay, so yeah, this is really cool because it does really affect the perception of the color of the reverb. And also touching on the modulation side, I really like quite modulating reverbs. Obviously too much is too much, but it gives a very nice flavor and movement and soul to the reverb. Distance, this is a super cool control, which again I think exponentially makes this so much more versatile and useful, because we often use reverbs to begin with to control sense of space. So make something very reverberant, makes it, you know, push the sound backwards, and if it doesn't have any reverb or very little, it comes, you know, close to you. So even here, when you have fixed all the other controls and you found a good reverb, this gives you like an additional dimension to fine-tune the distance of the sound to the listener. So let's see what they write about this. Yeah, the effect of moving closer to or further away from the sound source in the modeled space. Yeah, I mean, self-explanatory, but that's really cool because it does give so much more flexibility to using this. In the middle, you have this big knob, which is it says space, but yeah, that controls the decay time of the room. So at default, this goes up to 10 seconds, which for kind of is more than plenty for these kind of typical mixing reverb use cases. You have this percentage control here, which is called decay rate. You can, you know, juice this up to 400%, which means you have 40 seconds of reverberation or decay time going. So that is super impressive. And if that is not enough, then you have this freeze button here, which actually freezes the current state of the reverb, as they state here. So it just makes it, you know, a kind of an infinite reverb tank thingy-majingy. Next to it is brightness. Again, very self-explanatory. Jank it up, gets brighter. Jank it down, gets darker. Super essential control in my estimation for reverb. Even if you find a good reverb, this is a good way to, again, inch it closer and closer to the end result you want to see. And oftentimes it's not something you even realize. Oh, I actually wanted to make this a bit darker or brighter, etc. Very sound source dependent, but yeah. Stereo width, very self-explanatory. Again, very important when it comes to tweaking perception. of the stereo width. Ducking, this is really cool. So basically, if you make a sound duck, it's the reverb, you don't make the sound duck, you make the reverb duck. So when I play something, the reverb ducks out of the way of the incoming sound, and then once it fades out, depending on the threshold that is set, then the reverb comes back in. So this is a great way of not mudding up your mix or your sound, getting the sound coming in very clearly, but then getting a sense of space after that sound departs. So that's a really cool thing to have built in here. Fantastic, so you don't have to do it outside of the reverb. And then we have a mix control here, which depending on how you use your reverbs is obviously very essential, but if you use them in auxiliary things, then you probably max it out and etc. But you know, controls the balance between the wet and the dry sound. Cool. And yeah, then in the menu, drop down menu, you have reverb styles or choices between modern, vintage, and plate. So plate reverbs. Vintage is that 80s style of reverbs, and then modern, I guess, is just kind of the most general use case, most flexible, neutral sounding option there. Then you have a drop down menu with presets, which is cool. We're going to be exploring those, I'm sure, just to get like good idea of what's in there. Fabfilter does fantastic presets, so they can be really good starting points. So don't shy away from those because they're called presets, because they are pretty useful. That being said, this interface is so well done that it's a pleasure to start from scratch and develop your own reverbs. But also, if you're new to it, new to this whole thing, then presets are a tremendous way of getting to know the reverb and learn things, see what it's doing and how that's affecting the sound. Cool. That's usually, I mean, I don't usually do this much kind of technical overview or you know, interface overviews, but I think it's essential here. And also I want to see this stuff myself and learn what it's like. I think we're going to start with strings. I have Strasov sampling a flatus here, and I have this spiccato, so kind of short note type of sound, and this is a roof chase strings spiccato. I have all the mic positions on here, but the reverb in the plugin itself is turned off, so you'll only hear the recorded mic positions. And obviously, since it is an orchestral library, there is a bit of space there, but you know, quite little if we listen to it. So let me play a bit and try and find a level first. This is without Strasov sampling a flatus reverb, and also without Pro R2. So that's the sound without anything. Level is somewhat decent here. Let's turn off, on Pro R2. And for this, I'm gonna go for a preset as a starting point. Let's go to large, and then go, there's actually quite a few interesting options. Let's actually go in order. Let's do artificial cinematic space. This is probably not like for string uses, but just I want to get to know this thing. So that's a really interesting round sound. Does a very specific tone, obviously, but that's actually a super interesting thing. As you can see here, they've done kind of a interesting decay rate reduction here at 85 hertz and then about 2.5K, and then these kind of boosts in the EQ in those zones. So again, kind of demonstrates some of the craziness you can do here. Ooh, they have. Ooh, this is really cool. They have tag words, I guess, for type of stuff that it's used for. So where can I actually choose these on its own? Because I love this. I want to go for strings. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, search. Let's go strings. Strings, and then we have, gives us different options in these folders. Okay, this is really cool. We can't do everything, so I do have some graphic glitches every once in a while where it begins to paint something that was there previously. That's kind of weird. But let's do Vintage Hall. So here, I'm really impressed by how smooth the decay is. Here, it's kind of accentuated a bit to have a digital edge to it, but if you just listen to the decay smoothness, like the grains of the reverb, this is super pleasurable. Like you have that kind of digital top end there, which I would presume comes from the vintage mode of this. But the smoothness of the grains there, that's so pleasant to listen to. And excuse my kind of crappy playing. It's been a long day already, and it's I have all the reasons. It's cold here, so my fingers are not working, and also I have a bigger buffer, so we can use this reverb here. Not that, I mean, I'm sure it runs on a smaller one as well, but yeah, I mean, these are all my excuses. But yeah, a bigger buffer makes it difficult to play. Vangelis would approve. Bit of an excessive sound for what we're going for here, but that could be super interesting. I think we're going to come back to that when we use the synth pad. Let's do large hall 2. So this would probably be something pretty basic. That is I mean, just the decay graininess, that like the density, or rather the lack of the grains. Like, it's so smooth. That is super nice. Let's do. Did we already do Beautiful Vintage Hall? I think so. Yes. Let's do Large Hall 3. So here you can definitely hear well, both the EQ here as well as the decay rate, because it has this kind of mid. And then somehow this kind of a hissier top end on the reverb. I wonder how that is, because we have this shelf kind of shaving it off, but still has that sound. I want to do. Wait, does it? How do I? This menu does sort of stay here. A bit of an awkward. I want to do Concert Hall Amsterdam. This is classic. Let's do classic. Got a bit of limiter clipping there, but beautiful sound. Like, this has a very nice darker tone, probably because they boost 135 here apparently, and then there's a kind of a slope down from the decay here around 280. This is a fantastic learning tool. Even if you do nothing else than use the presets here and test things. Obviously you will, because it sounds fantastic, but you'll learn so much from this. You pull up different presets and you go like, ooh, that's what they did. That's what makes it warm. That's what makes it work here. So the feedback loop here in terms of learning is also absolutely fantastic. But yeah, this sound has a... Let me play a bit more. So yeah, this is the sound without the reverb. So fantastic sound, beautiful image, beautiful presence. But it is, because we've turned off the reverb in it, it is, doesn't achieve this kind of, obviously longer, doesn't stay around for as long, but it doesn't have this massiveness there in the back. So it is very, short Decay. Putting this on, this is set at 25%. And off. So a beautiful sound, but it's like that kind of a more immediate thing. So if you turn this on, I'm gonna bump this up to 30 just to see. It's a beautiful sounding space. Very, very nice. So yeah, can do the orchestral string stuff very easily. So let me go ahead and let's disable this track. Let's open up the next one, which is a bit more strings. Yeah. So this is Oliver Arnold's Chamber Evolutions by Spitfire Audio. That's a lot of words. So these are the chamber waves. So let me turn off the reverb here, and I've turned off, as far as I can tell, this interface isn't the best. Turned off entirely the simulated reverb in the library. So this is what it sounds like. Cool. So beautiful sound. Let's go with the, let's actually do the same space here. See how that works. Again, let me bump this up. Let's do 50. Because for these kind of washy wave type of things, might need more to make it kind of audible. Let's go to 100. Since we started, might as well push the distance all the way to the back. Let's actually pull a bit more of this sound in here. So let's do 50 now. Yeah, again, pretty hard to demonstrate on these, but yeah, I mean, beautiful. Again, the decay is so natural. Let's do a large, or maybe very large. Let's do beautiful, huge hall. very, very pleasant. Turning off the reverb. So yeah, it gives you a more present sound, but you know, with this you can easily expand the scope and the depth of the sound. So let's put that away. Let's go to the next one. And this is a, let's see what it is, because I don't remember what I prepared here. Ooh, nice. Okay, so next up we have Slate and Ash landforms. I have something called, a preset called Halcyon Days. So let me, first of all, play this to see what it is. And then we'll go ahead and find a good reverb for this. Cool, so that's kind of an orchestral ambient thingy in there. I've turned off the effect on landforms. You can hear that there's definitely the size of the space that they've sampled there. We did also get a CPU clip, which is pretty common with Slate and Ash stuff here. But yeah, let's do very large. And here I actually want to make Vangelis proud. But where is he? Oh, Vangelis would approve. So let's see how that sounds like, and let's put the reverb on. Yeah, CPU clipping there. I want to increase the reverb mix to 50, and I actually want to go beyond this reverb time. So let's go to all the way to 6 seconds. And I hope we don't get too much of CPU clipping here. Very cool. It can be harder to, you know, hear the difference with the reverb. Let's turn it off. You know what? I think we want to go to very large, as one does. Let's do Eternity. That sounds like a big enough one. Yeah, that's beautiful sounding. Just a massive reverb. What makes that so different is the decay is so natural and so smooth. It's so pleasant. So you can really just lose yourself in this sense of just the flow in the ocean. That is absolutely stellar. Let's move on. Next up we have some brass. So this is a Spitfire Audio Abbey Road 1 brass, low brass. So let's turn off the reverb. So that's what it sounds like on its own. I've turned off the Abbey Road reverb there. Let's see if we can find something for brass. Yep, we can. Let's do Far Back Wall of Stone. That sounds interesting. We should probably again turn on the reverb. Ooh, let me turn off the reverb. So obviously tremendously tracked and beautiful sounding space embedded in the recordings samples as well, obviously. But let's put this back on. I'm actually gonna, let's increase this from about 15% to, let's do 50. I just want to hear the effect of it. So yeah, we'll probably go with a sound that is sort of more, maybe supports the low end a bit more. Very large. Let's do Darkest Hour. I really like this search function here. Really good way of finding stuff to work with and explore and start with. Okay, loving that. Obviously, I wouldn't choose that for orchestral brass in a sort of typical context, but beautiful for ambient music creation, sound design, that kind of stuff. Beautiful decay, also like very, very dark, but again, super smooth. Very doomy, like, ooh, you feel like, oh shit, we fucked up. We're in big trouble. Okay. Let's just try Spacious Hall. See, this is probably something maybe a bit more normal. So again, here it's super subtle, but it does add that bit of size, bit of impact, bit of depth. Let's amp this up. Let's do 60% just to hear the difference. I often like to start with a more accentuated sound for the reverb to get the character, the taste, the style of the reverb, to see whether it sits the part and the instruments. and then I dial back from that. Because oftentimes it's so dependent on the song and the part, whether a reverb is good for a part, a section, even if you're dealing with the same sample libraries. So I like to throw them on there, see what color, what works best as a starting point. Then I start tweaking. But again, let's have a listen. Cool. Has a nice rasp, which is accentuated by the EQ boost in the top. Also have a bit of low boost here to bring out that space there. Again, I would roll this back and tweak the space size, or the decay rate rather, and yeah, very, very cool. But yeah, I love how it effortlessly adds a sense of weight and a sense of space there. Like, I'm really impressed by how well this can do this kind of natural sounds as well. This seems insanely versatile in that regard. Okay, next up we have, actually from the same library, we have trumpets. So let's try those out. Let's do the same reverb here. This is without. So again, we have that beautiful Abbey Road space there. And to be clear, I would in this case use the reverb as something that glues things together, brings that additional depth and weight to it, and glues sounds together. So, and this seems to pull that off like just perfectly. So yeah, just there, like, adds that bit of realism, that bit of natural sense to it. I'm really stunned by how this can do the natural thing. Then without. With. Yeah, I don't know how interesting that is for a non-orchestral engineer, but yeah, super, super cool. Next up we have, so I picked up Tom Factory by Fracture Sounds here, and this, this is the punchy mix, which it was my favorite from the bunch. Reverb turned off, obviously still reverberation in the samples, but let me get my bearings on what to play, and then we'll find a reverb for it. cool. I could also... Yeah, I'm just thinking if I should use the... Yeah, let's use this rhythm engine here. It's easier than me playing all these parts. So, let's go to the browser. Let's do percussion here. So, again, decide what size we want to go with. Let's do medium, and let's do Percussion Studio. Let's turn on the reverb. And first of all, I'll play around and adjust the mix to get an idea of what the reverb sounds like. So again, beautiful source, beautiful library, great imaging. Let's bounce back and forth between the reverb on and off so you get an idea of what it adds. Again, here we have a wonderful reverb complementing some of the high end, some of the impact points here. And a beautiful, if you actually look at this, it rolls off the low end and the very top end beyond that sort of 8-10K mark. And then we have a dip here in the mids, which is again a great match for this sound. But the decay rate is increased here around the same point. So. Yeah, just a wonderful match for this, by the way. Beautiful, beautiful sound. Just makes it more present. This sounds so like natural and realistic. I'm really, really, really impressed. Not that I mean, I knew as much, but now that I'm actually trying it out, it just sounds so natural, so good. This is a beautiful example of how the reverb just accentuates and accentuates the good stuff we have already in the imaging and the sampling, but then creates that last, third layer of dimension there and extends it on top and gives it that kind of presence and size and weight. Very, very cool. Let's again type this in here. Because the gated ones seem pretty interesting. Let's do one from there. These seem to be just... let's do number 2 for whatever reason. That's a pretty, I mean, not something I would be using in many cases, but the concept of it is very interesting. So here we have the auto gate, which you can turn on or off. And then here you have the milliseconds that you're working with. And also this is paired with the ducking here. But just like a kind of case in point, well, I guess not a case in point, but to demonstrate like the creativity of this and how you could use that in a subtle way to kind of create an additional sense of movement with the reverb, or in a more drastic way to do something more sort of creative and out there with it. Let's do very large is probably not going to work with the sound source, but just here. This one's called Surge. Again, I wouldn't use that reverb for that, but just to hear what it does. Let's check out one more thing. We can find something interesting. Medium, let's do percussion plate. So again, I mean, we have a beautiful source sound. The imaging is beautiful, fantastic drums. Just an example of how to add that extra weight and dimension here. Yeah, this is really, really good. So the mix was set at 15% there, just a tad. Give it that extra dimension there. Yeah, super impressed by that as well. What do we have next? Ooh, we have a piano. So again, this is a Fracture Sounds sound source. This is the Spotlight piano. Let's look for a piano. Let's do small acoustic ambience. Let's turn this off first. Reverb is turned off from the piano. And I have a preset called Intimate. I want to push this level a bit more. Back just a tiny bit just to be safe. Oh yeah, that was without the reverb, just me feeling the piano and getting a sense of it, and also what a pleasant thing to play. Turn on the, okay, so this is called acoustic ambience. So reverb decay is only 1.27 seconds, so nothing too big, but I'd also love to get to know the ambient side of this. So let's go. I'm getting those CPU clips. I don't have a lot of stuff running here, but I guess it's the buffer size with the library, with the reverb, with the video capture. So sorry for those, but okay, I'm going to turn this off. Very subtle. Off. Yeah, it definitely gives that added presence, but also size. That's kind of interesting. Let's go for... Yeah, I'm just stunned how well this does all the natural stuff as well. Oh, percussion, that's not what we want. We're on a piano. Medium, let's do piano room large. This is off. On. Yeah, that's super nice. For this preset, I'm not a fan of kind of the roundness and density of the piano here, so would be best here. Obviously, this has many presets. Could actually, let's pull something. Let's do bright. Yeah, cool, nice. This one says it uses like a modern sound, but to me it sounds like more like those 80s type of sounds. But that just shows the versatility of the tweakability as well. So, but yeah, not a great reverb pairing there. Let's do inside plate. I just want to hear what this sounds like. Let's try and find. Let's keep the intimate here. It's kind of an interesting, more vibey, fairy-like touch to that. So that's without, and this is with. Kind of sounds like it has its own atmosphere layer, like the fracture sounds one they use create these kind of atmospheres behind the piano, but the reverb is kind of building its own here. So yeah, it has a fair bit of modulation here going, which explains a bit of that vibe. Very thick, pulled back a bit. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Let's see if we can find one more example. Here, let's do large. Let's do heavily modulated wash 2. I have to do piano hall first. Very beautiful, very beautiful. Off. Let's put it on. Yeah, it creates beautiful sense of an ambience, beautiful sense of space there. Yeah, super impressed by this. I wish, you know, I would choose the piano source sound a bit differently, just to pair with, like, explore this in a different way, because it does some of that mid roundness does kind of clutter it up. But again, you in the source you can tweak it, in the reverb you can tweak it, so it's all good. clipping the limiter here. Yeah, I mean, if I was writing for an anime score right now, this would be really cool. Yeah, I mean, it does that beautifully. And again, tweak to your heart's desire. That's, I'm just continuously impressed by how smooth and pleasant this is. All right, we are getting into some crazy territory. I have a Teletone Audio Electro here, which we demoed just a few days ago. Fantastic electronic drum machine sample library. Reverb turned off, so this is what it sounds like. Let's take a moment to find a level here. Yeah, we do get those CPU clips here, but level seems okay. Let's search for drums here in the R2. Let's do Dustbin Ambience. That sounds like an interesting one to check out. Yeah, effortlessly as the ambience, definitely. Ambience for loops. Yeah, it's a nice bit of glue. Very subtle, but definitely here on the top end there. That's cool. Let's do duct, carpet, and tiles. Yeah, fantastic ambience on the top end. Just a good example of adding a bit of size, a bit of presence. That's really, really nice. Medium, let's see. Far back wall of stone sounds good. CPU clip. Again, there you can hear some of that 80s vibe coming from this vintage reverb style here. Yeah, very nice. Again, this so effortlessly adds that sense of space, dimension, presence, ambience. It's kind of becoming repetitive for me to say that, but it is what it is. Let's do one large. This is called Thin and Distant. Get the idea. Obviously, we're not choosing the best pairings here in the world because we're kind of doing this blind, but you get the idea. Next up, a organic drum version of this. So this is called Tempo by Teletone Audio. And here we should have, as far as I can tell, let me check. So turning off everything I can find in terms of reverbs and room sounds. So again, let's search for drums. Let's just try the ambience for loops again. Yeah, I mean, obviously the Teletone has a very nice present sound, which is crafted in a very specific style, which is perfect. But if you wanted to add a bit of like ambience, space, size there, that is just like that is such a beautiful touch. Very, very tastefully done there. Let's do clear, tight room. Again, I wouldn't go that bright on the top, but let's do drum plate. Cool. Let's look for. Let's do huge sizzle plate. I doubt this will be a good pairing, but. Yeah, again, too much air there. But yeah, I mean, for this use case, I mean, adding just that bit of ambience size there, that is fantastically, just works amazingly well. Next up, we have Teletone Audio Scarbo. So this would be a synth of sorts. Let's check out what it is. So that's the sound I've chosen there. Let's search for some synthy stuff. Let's check out an ambience one. This is called Wide Air. I mean, that's a good example of taking us from this more sort of packed, claustrophobic space, opening it up, giving it that presence. This is more like using reverb as like obviously it's a mixing tool always, but you wouldn't think like, ooh, reverb. That's more like I love using ambiences. They're one of my favorite things to do. Gives that sense of presence and space and size, and super nice. beautiful way of opening it up to that different space. Let's do medium. Let's do thick dimensions. I like those myself. Sometimes the switch here gets stuck, so I might be muted sometimes. But yes, I don't know if you heard what I said, but opens up the sound beautifully, and now we're gonna make Vangelis proud again. Probably not the best sound for that. Let's go for something very, very big. Let's do euphoric dimensional plate. Well, this is only 5.5 seconds, so. Again, that's adding the space beautifully, takes the top end there and keeps things down below very tamed. Again, crazy curves going on here, but that's what gets the job done here in this case. Let us do a very large. Let's do Skyrise plate. That sounds awesome. Cool. Very, very large. Let's do DSP Cathedral. So this would use the vintage sound, so not super natural, I would presume. Beautiful decay there. And this is kind of like EQ'd to be very muffled, so this suits this very nicely. Can you hear that wash? That is so smooth. Super cool. Next up, going to, what are we looking at here? We have the Dark Zebra. So this is an ARP, apparently. So let's try and get our levels here. That is stunning. If you couldn't tell from my face. Yeah, super nice. You can use that very subtly to, again, add that dimension, that impact, but then you can also wash it to oblivion and have it be very, very, very beautiful. Let's do huge synth space. That's very nice. It just takes the transients and everything so naturally. Beautiful soundscape, beautiful vibe. Just super impressed by that. Yeah, cool. Let's move on with the sound source so that I don't spend my entire life just playing with this reverb. Ooh. Okay, we have a good one here. Let's turn off the reverb. So this is Lunaris 2 and a preset called Elysium 2. Again, a bit of CPU clipping there, but yeah, so I've turned off everything that I can see on the Lunaris effect side of things. So again, we'll probably go, you know, the synth root. Let's do, again, huge synth space. I think that's probably, this sound is begging for that. So again, I'll play first without and then turn this on. Pretty awesome. Let's push this to 60% around. beautiful source sound, but then I think that's the only one we're gonna do for that source sound. It's just I think we got our point across. All right, interesting. So I have Evolution Songwriter by Orange Tree samples here. So this would be a guitar. Let's do slapback guitar ambience. Sure, sounds good. And so yeah, it creates that slapback vibe for sure. Not a great pairing. We would have to tweak that to make it decent. 3D vintage ambience. Let's try this one. Does it thing. This is like a pairing matter more than anything else. Let's do acoustic ambience. We have a pretty like defined sound here for the guitar, so this is probably not like a best pairing for almost anything here, but let's check out acoustic ambience. CPU clips. This is without the reverb. So yeah, if you wanted to add that kind of sense of space there, you could. Like I said, the sound source is already very defined, so probably not the best choice. Acoustic Guitar Studio. This is without. Super impressive. Again, that natural presence ambience. That's a very, very good one. Good fit. Even for like a, well, not even, but like especially for like a more typical guitar tone, that would be super cool. Now let's do something large. Let's do PCM Memories. beautiful. They actually go really well together. Very nice. By the way, there's a lot of noise coming from the actual guitar engine there. It's kind of part of the sound that they're going for there, so not the reverb. Cool. Well, I think that demonstrated that. That was a good one. Next, I think we have as soon as I'm gonna open it. This is a electric guitar. So this is Evolution Strawberry from the same company, Orange Tree Samples. Let's keep the same sound, and let me play without any reverb first. Kind of like a gently picked distorting thing. I'm going to try and play something better for that sound. It does have a bit of resonances there which need to be worked with, but let's put the same reverb on here. CPU clipping. Very cool. Yeah, this is a really cool preset. Let's look for some. Let's do. Let's do the acoustic ambience again. Without any reverb. With I'm getting these libraries can also be pretty heavy on the CPU, so that's why we're probably clipping here. Without. So it just adds that sense of ambience there. Again, a good use case over there. And then let's see what we have. Ooh, we have Freya Legato. So this is choir, female choir. Again, Strezzo sampling. And let's see if we can find just something with choir. Oh, we can indeed. Let's do simple ambience first, see if we hear anything. This is without any reverb. I don't know if this is going to be a great demonstration of this. Yeah, adds a bit of ambience to the top. Kind of the same thing if you want to just add kind of impact there. Let's do something large. Choir rich hall, that sounds good. I'm sorry, this not a good sound source here because I gotta control it so much to play anything here, but getting those CPU clips now. That is a very, very spot on, like based on my choir career and experience. It's a very, very nice amount of decay they've chosen here. Very, very nice balance. Probably tweak some of the EQ there, but cool. Yeah, I mean clearly it can pull this off very easily. It's just so super versatile. Let's do. Let's try choir bright hall and then move on to the last source. Kind of interesting, very well voiced. It does accentuate the kind of sizzle on the top end, but that's what it's doing there, so it makes sense. All right, going to the last source sound. I don't even know how long this has been going. Almost 2 hours. Yeah. Okay, we have a. This is what just happened? Have I deleted something here? I think I must have done so. So I gotta load an instance here. Contact, and I want to go to 0G, Ethera Atlantis 3, and let's do Romantic True Legato. I'm turning off all the reverbs as far as I can tell. Here we go. Let's have a listen to it without any reverb. Cool, very dry, very controlled here, so this is going to be fantastic. Let's do vocals. Let's go for something. Let's do just a 3D vintage ambience here first. Super impressive, turn off. Sounds very mono, very centered, very controlled. Just the ambience adding becomes actually present here. Yeah, it does that super well. I'm super happy about that, because then I might not need certain other tools to do that. Going to Let's see if we can find medium. Anything interesting here? Let's do vocal plate modulated. That's super good. It's so like soft and dark there, but you get this beautiful presence. I want to push the decay rate here to see what happens. It doesn't quite, it's so well tuned. That's a really well tuned plate. It's just adding the right things in the right place. That's super impressive. Okay, let's go to large. Let's do beautiful plate. Again, super well voiced. Just perfect amount of information where it needs to be. Those are super tuned in. Very nice. Let's do very large. It's too long of a video. Let's try the Skyrise plate here. Beautiful, smooth, dark decay there. Yeah. I think there was a preset which wasn't. Let's do Eternity. This is a. I want to do this. Yeah. This does make me want to do one thing. If I could just remember which track is which, because they're disabled, just to not to destroy the CPU. Okay, that's not what we want. Maybe this one here. Yeah, I want to pull the Loftroom Lunars 2 back and do this this preset, because I mean, yeah. Cool. Well, this wraps up the demo. This has been a big one as well. But yeah, to summarize, it's really awesome. It's really good. Super impressed by how it does the natural sounding spaces. It's just a very natural, very smooth, super smooth decay sounding reverb. That alone is super impressive. It does those natural spaces so well, which is really good for orchestral stuff, any organic instruments like that you want to preserve kind of a realism space type of approach. Does that super well. Obviously, it just nails the 80s sounds as well, which I wasn't super concerned because you know, they've been doing that for quite a bit now. And the plates were so dialed in. For the vocals, they were like just pretty much mixed already. They really know those tricks for those tunings. Fantastic. All these controls here, we did minimal tweaking because I just rather want to demonstrate what this does out of the box with the presets, with the sounds we had. But again, like all of this tweakability, they're so practical, so creative. The controls, just the distance control on its own, like I touched on, exponentially makes this so much more versatile. And love the mod control. I think that should be a staple in reverbs these days, unless you're going for like a specific space that you're just want to recreate. And yeah, that's and also how this is like this. Not only do you use this to do fantastic reverbs, but it's teaching you as you do it, because you can see exactly what's being done, obviously on the controls, but also having this fantastic interface. You can see like, oh, there's a dip here, there's a boost here. That's what it's doing. So, you know, that might be one of the biggest selling points here as well. Like that might be overlooked easily, because people don't tend to want to look at those things or admit those things even. But yeah, I felt like it was teaching me whole thing through. Yeah, and the presets are really, really useful, and the search bar for the preset or the tag system, searching tag system for the preset catalog is fantastic. So, but yeah, I'm super impressed. A pleasure to use. Pretty much perfectly designed in terms of usability and interface and everything. That doesn't surprise me, being, you know, it being Fabfilter, but that is the case here. And in fact, this is, I think, a better delivery than any of the other plugins that I've used before, which is many of them, and they're already fantastic. So this just like shows the maturity level at the design level that they have and that they do. Fantastic. But yeah, I mean, that smoothness on the Decay just doesn't leave me, and you know, that alone is enough to make your jaw drop here. But fantastic performance. Yeah, I can do nothing but to strongly recommend this book, because I can't think of anything that I'd want to throw at it and it couldn't do what I'm asking it to do. I mean, I obviously do a lot of orchestral stuff, but then just the ambience adding is fantastic, and yeah, all the electronic stuff, it's going to be a no-brainer. So yeah, super cool. Again, thank you to Fabfilter for sending this over. Very much appreciated, and I will definitely be using this on this project that I'm working on right now. So it's going to be awesome. For those of you watching, it's been a hefty video, but let me know what you think. I'm sure many of you already have this, already are using it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, your experiences on this. And especially if you have R1, you know, what was the difference you perceived there? And yeah, let me know what you think about this video demo review as well. Cool. That's it for this one. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Finished.